Well, Eli Lilly's quarterly results showed us why it's one of the most valuable pharmaceuticals on the planet. The demand for its diabetes and weight loss drugs came in so much better than expected, both on its more established drug and its newer once-daily shot targeted specifically for obesity. And yet, if we look at the stock, it initially surged on the back of these results and a rosy forecast for 2024. It's kind of flatlining right now. Let's bring in Evan Seigerman, Managing Director at BMO, who covers the stock with the buy rating. And Evan, the stock started to fade right at 10, which is when the conference call began. I didn't get the sense that there was anything in those first 30 minutes that caused the stock to waffle a little. Were there any wrinkles here that are giving you pause?
There wasn't really anything in the conference call that was giving me pause. Obviously, a lot of discussion around supply, which is the key question when it comes to Lilly for Zepbound and Mounjaro. I think that investors want more supply right now, and it's going to take some time. They have the facility in Research Triangle Park up and running, more supply coming on from Concord, North Carolina, but that's really driving the story. Of course, we also want to know what's happening with the donanemab, still looking at a 1Q approval. This is their Alzheimer's product. Doesn't get a lot of airtime. We're still waiting on that approval. So I think that were a lot of expectations baked into the print. They hit those expectations and exceeded them. But given that everyone wants always more and more with Lilly, that's probably why the stock traded off.
I know it doesn't get enough airtime, but let's give it airtime, that Alzheimer's piece, because I've spoken with a Lilly CEO who was very candid and said, you know, this hype in these diabetes drugs and obesity drugs, eventually that goes to zero, right, when generics come on. So we always have to be looking at what's the next thing, what's the next thing. How much credit are they getting right now for possible Alzheimer's upside?
Well, I think they're getting some credit. Remember, they have a drug, donanemab, which will be the second fully approved drug after Biogen Eisai's Leqembi should happen this quarter. They're not getting a ton of credit because the launch of Leqembi has been pretty slow, where we also cover Biogen. We're looking at that pretty closely. And they even said on the earnings call that expect it to be a slow and steady launch, unlike kind of the parabolic launch of Zepbound and Mounjaro that we saw last year.
Price increases factored into total sales growth, right? Price increases of 16% versus volume growth of just 11%. Is that going to become a problem for investors, or could this catch the attention of politicians like it has in the past?
Well, when you look at price, I mean, price increases are complex. And I hate to be so flippant about it, but in the U.S., for example, you have the list price and the net price increases. As we see more volume for Zepbound and Mounjaro, I expect the net price actually comes down. That's how they get more access. So volume ends up driving this market over the long term. Look at any of their large cap peers. It's usually volume driving revenue increases versus outright price increases.
20 times sales? How do you get comfortable around that multiple?
I get comfortable around it because of the opportunity in obesity. There was an article that basically over the weekend that said, is Ozempic just a good thing? And they're using Ozempic as a generic term for these weight loss drugs, saying that, you know, there's a lot of kind of push and pull when it comes to these weight loss drugs, but they may not be all bad. It could be a solution for a big problem that we have in society. Looking ahead, Lilly has a lot of innovation beyond just obesity in the metabolic space, in inflammation, in Alzheimer's, and in cancer.
Of course, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk take up all the oxygen because of, you know, Ozempic is sort of the name for it. It's become like the Kleenex of this drug, which Novo has, and then Mounjaro for Eli Lilly. Is there anyone else you should be watching for that can also play in this space and then maybe has a little bit more upside potential?
So we did upgrade Amgen late last year on their obesity product, AMG 133. But yesterday there was some, I don't want to say disappointing, but some not as good data in a paper that was released that was that's what caused Lilly's shares prices to go up yesterday and Amgen to kind of remain flat. So we're really focused on Amgen. I think that at, you know, mid-teens times forward earnings, it still could be an interesting opportunity. They just have to get it right. They do have a lot of shots on goal. And what's really important with Amgen is they have ample manufacturing capacity, which, as you know, has been the key question when it comes to Novo and Lilly.
What about stocks that just aren't in this space? There are other ailments that need to be cured. And how much investor focus is just so obsessive here and maybe ignoring some opportunities elsewhere?
Well, two names that are not really in the obesity space, Vertex Pharmaceuticals, they had a very strong print yesterday. What's interesting about them is they have a non-opioid pain medication that's likely to be approved either later this year or early next year. There's been some kind of questions around the potential market there, but the opioid crisis is real, and I think having a non-opioid opportunity will actually be very important and could get generalist money into the stock. I'm also focused on Regeneron. We recently met with Regeneron management. Bullish on Eylea and Eylea HD. They had a patent case that they won last December. They have a permanent J-code coming for their Eylea HD product come April. That means they can get Medicare reimbursement, and a very strong Dupixent and oncology franchise that will drive shares beyond where they are now.